We have other panelists standing by as well. Rebecca Walser, she's a tax attorney standing by. She'll join us now, as well as Rogan O'Hanley, an attorney and conservative activist. Good to see everybody here. Rebecca, we'd love to get your thoughts on the matter here, discussing what's happening. President Biden visiting Georgia, talking about voting legislation they want to get passed. Your thoughts on that and how this is really a key point for Democrats right now.
You know, Sean, I'm so tired of hearing that the Republicans are stopping democracy. You know, it's amazing to me. I was just looking at Washington, D.C. yesterday, and they had cleared off and literally sectioned off. You couldn't walk even a certain way, local route to the White House. And it said 100% ID enforced. And I thought, my gosh, you know, I don't understand. We have IDs required everywhere. But for some reason, Democrats want to say that even though IDs are free, even though you can arrange transportation to get an ID, that it's still a barrier to voting for poor and minority communities. And it is just not true. It is. You can tell me all the studies in the world that have been done. I'll tell you there's 1,000 other studies the other way. Democracy and us being a republic is protected by our citizens and our right to vote. And when you have a presidency that's letting hundreds of thousands of people in on our southern border without any checks, without any identification, without background checks, without COVID testing, without any of these things, and then they want to open up the ability to ballot harvest, drop box, have no voter ID laws, you start to understand there's a fundamental transformation at work here in our country away from the citizens of this country.
And that is the concerns that many GOP lawmakers have voiced throughout this, again, push to get this voting legislation through. And yet, even the president's own base, it's not resonating with everyone on the Democratic side. Some civil rights groups are not going to be there today, Rogan. Now, they say it's that the administration is all talk and no action here. They want to see this voter legislation through. Stacey Abrams will not be in attendance. The leader of Black Voters Matter had spoken out saying we're beyond speeches, we're beyond events. What do you make of the fact that the president can't get everyone on board with his own legislation within his own party?
Well, I think there is a deepening divide being created between the far left radical section of the Democrat base and the moderate Democrats who, you know, frankly want to focus more on inflation and, you know, getting kids back in school. You know, you look around, people are paying $80 at the pump. They can barely find food on the shelves in certain areas. And yet the number one priority for Democrats is making sure that they can ballot harvest in all future elections. You know, look what we just saw in California. They made mail-in ballots where you can even print them at home, and ballot harvesting, you know, permanent law. I mean, that's crazy. That state is falling off a cliff. People are leaving because we know it's wrought with fraud. And, you know, as the previous guest mentioned, you know, they're claiming that Republicans are trying to hurt democracy. We're trying to save democracy. OK, we have over 59% of all Americans, registered voters, in the latest Rasmussen poll that believe that there was fraud in the last election that could have impacted who was chosen. And that's up from 53% months prior. This is a emergency issue, and it's not because voting is too difficult to do. It's because there's too much fraud. And, you know, Democrats, they say, oh, votes are being suppressed. They allegedly got 81 million votes, more than ever in history, and they're complaining that there's not enough people voting. So something's very screwy here. I think Democrats are wasting their time.
Panelists, stick around. There's more to come with you after this break.